Welcome to Journey Through the Gate, Paranormal Portal Podcast, as we delve into the many questions and wonders brought on by the supernatural experience. What's on the other side of the gate? Let's find out together. What is up, gatekeepers? Happy Easter to everybody out there. I am solo tonight, except for the spirits who are absolutely running overtime this week. How's everybody? Anybody want some of this? Here, let me sage you guys. There you go. Get you some of that. There you go. I'm sure everybody can use some of it. How's everybody's Easter going? Are you all filled with jelly beans and chocolate rabbits and all that lovely stuff? I did not myself partake. I think this is the first Easter that I haven't had to deal with the absolute horror of deciding whether to start eating the bunny from the toes up, the ears down. You know, the hands, you always try to go for a part that is like, if they have an Easter basket, I always wanted to go for that first. I remember once I saved a face. I could not eat the face, and I saved that. I saved the face. It was a little hollow rabbit in a box for the longest time until I just couldn't take it anymore, and I had to eat his face to get rid of it. So how's everybody? How's everybody out there? This is crazy. I'll tell you, I've had a heck of it. Ears first, Glenn. I see. Yeah, you know, I can see that. Hey, Linda, how you doing? Hey, anybody that was getting into the Gatekeepers Facebook, I apologize. I have two of them. One is not a Gatekeepers. That's our group. So many podcasts are out there. If you have a podcast, please feel free to share there. Jose knows about it. Get in there. If you do have, a lot of people don't have Facebook anymore, but if you want to put pictures and things like that, or share your podcast and what you're doing, please feel free. As long as it's paranormal, supernatural, it's pretty much anything, you know. Hello, Chase of Truth. Hey, Sean, how you doing? How about... He's gonna gut punch the Easter bunny. I appreciate the laughs, guys. We have had some very close, thanks, Sean, deaths in the family, and people we work with, their family, and some hospital scares, and just in every direction, man. I don't know. Hey, Lotus Girl, how you doing? Vixen, did I say hi? Chris, hi, Chris. So if you got sage, burn it. If you got if you got them, smoke them. Whatever tonight. I wasn't gonna do the show, and I said, you know what? It's Easter, and I need my gatekeepers. I need some hugs. I need some bacon. I need some love. And again, I just thought we'd go vintage. I worked on this today. Unfortunately, one of the ones that I really wanted to show you guys, it would not load and it wouldn't play. That's why I'm a little late. And it wasn't anything I could do about it. It was working earlier. But I have a couple of clips, again, from our wonderful Leonard Nimoy in Search Of, and one from Unsolved Mysteries, you know, two short ones, 20 minutes or so total. And then I thought I would take you... on a little memory trip, and hopefully spark some memories of your childhood. Thank you for the bacon. Hey, Mairead. Hello, love. How you doing, Blue? AJK. Aunt Edna, how you doing? Yeah, it's been, right? The misery, Aunt Edna's saying, is all around her. Wait a minute. Where's my sage? Did it go out? I'll tell you what. I'm having a hard time keeping the sage burning. What does that mean, Chris? I'll tell you what. Well, we're just going to light 2 or 3. I've got some sweetgrass. I've got some really nice white sage gifted twice. So you guys out there know what that means. It's even more blessed. And I'm very blessed to be here with you guys tonight. And like I said, oh, there we go. That's nice. And everybody out there needs the prayers and the good vibes and everything. So what do I mean by all this psychic detectives and stuff? And I'm sure Donnie would jump in with me, but he needs a little healing energy right now too. Bless his heart, he probably I think he had a little dental stuff done or something, and it's just that's horrible. The last time I went to the dentist, I had 3 teeth pulled from the back with local, and I think I carried that chair with me for about 3 days. I wouldn't let go. Jeez, God. Oh, God, that's just horrific to think about it. So God bless you, Donnie, and anybody out there that's needing healing vibes tonight. So, yeah, burn it, Sean. If you've got the sage, burn it for sure. And like I said, if you smoke them, got them. If you got them, smoke them. But I'm glad to be here tonight. I'm sorry I'm a little tired. I'm sorry, it's been crazy at the shop, floral and Easter, and tension's running high in there too. And golly, it's hard to keep that candle lit, but you got to keep it going. I've got all mine lit, and people try to blow out your candle. You just got to relight it again. Yeah, ouch, right? Oof. Donnie says here, he's saying, I didn't want to put your business all over the place, but since you're doing it, I'll help you. I've got 3 impacted wisdom teeth that need to be pulled. Oh, you haven't got them done yet. Donnie, I thought that was done. Oh, gosh. Geez. Oh, ooh. I thought we were done. Oh, okay. So clove oil, just keep the clove oil. It's highly potent. So again, anybody doing clove oil, if you know what I'm talking about, I take just like the cotton off a Q-tip, dip it in the clove oil, squeeze it out into a paper towel or some sanitary toilet paper, whatever, and squeeze it out, get all the excess off, and then put that on. It's that powerful. Then I put a cotton ball over top of that, and it's just like it's thump, thump, whew, gone. The stuff is a miracle. And dentists still use it to this day. Been used for, I want to say, thousands of years. I feel confident in saying that. Multiple continents. So clove oil, get your sovereign silver, get your cat's claw, Donnie. Okay, and I'll get you through this. But oh my God, I thought it was over. Don't tell him. Oh my God. I can't imagine that. Crickets and canned green beans and sharks. The rest of this stuff doesn't bother me, but the spiritual attacks on everybody does. And I've had calls from all over this week during and in and out the work, and people are just telling me, this is happening, and they're just trying to do stuff that they can do. And I think light workers, this is it. We're being. This is everything we've learned on our journey so far. That's why it's gatekeepers. We have to, help shuttle the people down their journey because, man, and the attacks keep coming and we keep deflecting them like, with the shield, with the reflecting them off and stuff. It sounds silly to say it, but that's it. That's what you got to do, right? So we're going to spend a little time tonight. If you want to get your popcorn, if you want to throw some bacon in, if you want to get a double shot of scotch, I'm not going to tell. And just kick back and let's spend a little time together. I hope everybody had a great Easter, or some of you, it might be over, or maybe it hasn't happened yet, or Passover, or however you celebrate. I don't have any really funny Easter stories. Memories when I was a kid. Most of them were spent here in New Jersey, the ones that I remember. That was where the bulk of my childhood really was. And everything was boardwalk. Everything was going so far back. As soon as people discovered the ocean, yeah, it is draining, Aunt Edna. That's what I'm saying. You have to rejuvenate with laughter. And, I've got my Florida water. I've got my crystals. I mean, again, if you want me to, it's green, so it's not going to show up on the screen, but I'll chuck some of that at you too. Oh, gosh, it's so nice. Just breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth, and give yourself time in between breaths. I think people forget that. Take that, and then and do it again. And do that 3 or 4 times. Oh, it smells so good. So here, have some of this. I wish we had smell-o-vision. There you go. There's some Florida water. We got the sage. We've got the sweetgrass. We've got the incense. We've got everything going, and we've got love, and everybody's candle's lit. And if your neighbor's candle isn't lit, lean over, light your neighbor's candle, damn it. Right? So, Yeah, we're all thinking of you, Donnie, and everybody out there that's going through something because, like I said, everybody's going through it, right? So, and thank you so much, Sean. Hit that thumbs up, and thank you for everybody who commented on the episodes last week and the super chats. I thank you so much. I know times are hard, so if you can't do anything like that, even $1, and if you can't do that, and I've been there. So, and you have to put it other places. So, absolutely be wise with your dollars right now. But you can also share on your social media. Invite people. So many people do. Cassie, thanks so much. Gray, I know you've shared it. Sean, thank you so much. And so many people, thank you. I know Jose. Again, gatekeepers, if you waited a long time to get membership, I went in there. There was 28 members I didn't see. I never got the notifications, nor could I find it. I had to go through the back door. So everybody's in. Everybody's approved. Sorry about the questions to get in there. Have you ever seen a ghost, or do you believe it? They make you ask questions. It's so silly when you do a group. The main purpose of the group is to support each other, put your pictures in, ask your questions, suggest movies, throw up ideas. If other people need help with their stuff, same thing. Weird and strange stories, cute cat pictures, dog pictures, whatever you want to do. It's fantastic. Just be nice over there and enjoy and welcome all the new gatekeepers. Thank you so much for your patience. So there's that. The rest of this is Steve and I will be here tomorrow. I told him this morning that I was so drained from this week. I said, no, I have to do something. So I don't have a lot of deep research on this, but you know what, guys? I don't need it because I've kind of lived it. And I know so many have you have too. Now, I know I have people in here in the chat, and thanks on commenting. Thanks everybody, mods, for welcoming new people in and all. And everything you do, and watching out for the zombies coming over the wall and baking those shut the fuck up cakes. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you all. If I don't say it enough, Nightmare, welcome in. So psychic abilities, we all have them. Hey D Worm, welcome. We all have them, I think, to a certain ability. Am I right? Are we all pretty much across the board think that everybody has them, even if you're talking about intuition or that sense? It doesn't have to be as strong as a spidey sense, right? It just has to be something doesn't feel right. Shouldn't go on the elevator. That guy's a psychopath. I don't trust her for some reason. All that kind of stuff. That's intuition. We've talked many times about nature, fight or flight, right? That kind of thing. And, oh good, everything's working over here too. Hey, all you beautiful gatekeepers. And I've got you on 3 screens, just so I can see. I'm trying not to miss any of the chats. It's hard to do both 3 things at once. But I think that's it. And how you exercise it, the gift you're given. Some might be, like piano players. Some people can just sit down and get the flow, and others have to struggle. And they both might be great, but they went at it different. And that's the way I look at abilities. So many times I've talked in this show about friends that I have that are mediums, that spirits might come to them, whether earthbound ghosts or spirits coming across, trying to get their attention to tell them about a crime or a missing person or something along those lines. Now, the video that I had for you that won't play was based on a lady who basically came across her gift accidentally. So many do. Really wasn't sure what to do with it. Was getting messages of a young girl, a nurse, missing. All of a sudden she started tuning into it. She was getting a little bit more. The visuals she got were very much like a movie playing in her head. She went out with her daughter driving along. All of a sudden she got the feeling to pull over in a wooded kind of a little turn off the highway there. She got out of the car and runs right to where the girl had been kidnapped. A little further on, she had been taken into the woods, and she felt both places. Now, I had entitled that Gift or Curse, because here you are, you have this, and it's just this annoying thing that won't go away. And this was in the 70s. So I think it was 72, the case and what she was doing. She went to the police. She had way too much information. They interrogated her for 12 hours. Somewhere around 3 o'clock in the morning, they decided to book her, threw her in jail, and left her in there for 4 days, telling her she was a liar and she had to have they even gave her a polygraph test. She passed it, but they withheld that information and said that she was lying and figured that a couple nights in jail would get her to break. You know. Now, I don't have details on what police department it was or what county or anything else. I mean, or how the way things were handled back in the 70s. But if you look at it, the vantage point of the police officer, how does she know so much? And I've said this one over and over and over again. Is it a curse or a gift? And what do you do with it? So right away, you got to wonder how many people have this and never speak up because of how they're treated. Now, the cool part was that, you know, about 3 days after, I think she was actually in there 4 days in jail, the police officer, the detective, comes and tells her that they had two people that confessed to the murder. How all that came down, I do not know. But they let her out. And then the police officers were saying how much she was on point and how in the world, scratching their heads and stuff like that. And I think one out of the three that they had asked that said that if you ever, would you ever consider using a psychic again in a case? And only one out of the three said they would. And I thought it was interesting because, again, 72, and now here we are, and there's so many you know, psychics that actually work with, and right up front work with the police or you know, anybody, county, or, you know, search and rescue or whatever. I think a lot more in that amount of time over these decades has said, you know what, give me the information, and if I can, you know, break it down to facts, terrific. I don't care where it comes from. If it helps me solve the case, I don't care where it comes from. We've also talked about cases all the way to the court that paranormal and supernatural have actually made it into the documents, into the court, into the evidence, or at least this is how it came about. I also told you about that one where another medium that I know went through very similar situation. I don't think they locked her up. They kept her and interrogated her for a couple hours, but she wasn't locked up in jail. But she was the one that the earthbound spirit had been murdered, and knew that the guy was in jail and was going to do it again. Got the psychic to tell the police officer that was now on the case that there was evidence in the evidence locker that DNA could help with at this point. And he figured, what the heck, had it tested. And sure enough, there was a Marlboro cigarette. He used to smoke a little bit of it and then put it back in the pack and had his DNA on it. And they were able to link him to her horrific murder, along with, I don't know if they ever caught the guy he was with, but they got him and they kept him from getting out. So many of these cases. I don't know how you guys feel about that. You know, do you think that having that type of ability would be a curse, or would it be a gift? If you were getting information about a murder case, or if you were getting information about something like Steve gets prophetic dreams that tell him about a something that may be going to happen, some kind of catastrophe, as in the one he had where the construction crew were that man was crushed with the cement. What do you call it? The sewer, those great big round, you know, the sewer pipes. They got to be called more than pipes because you can walk in them, some of them. But, you know, he didn't know where it was or when it was. And sure enough, a couple months down the road, boom, he hears of this catastrophe, and the guy did get crushed. Would have been nothing he could do about it. Didn't know the guy, didn't know the county, you know. That seems like a curse. I know, Edna, you've said before Let's get you up here. I find it frustrating to hell to get glimpses and not the full picture. Yeah. And you wonder why. And I thought Soraya tackled it really well, to where, maybe you're not supposed to do something with it. Maybe you're getting some kind of he put it much better, where it was almost like a reflection of future events, or something was was going to put out so much energy that it actually reflected back, and you just picked up the frequency, or the signal. And interesting way of thinking about it. But some of these psychic detectives, I love, how much we love In Search Of, and the way they went about it. I picked this little clip here because it had many different people that had gotten together in a group. I don't know how often they met, once a week, once a month, whatever. They all had a different psychic ability, and they all got together and then put the information they were getting together, and they actually solved cases. When you listen to the clip that we have tonight, this one was done, I believe, in 74 when it was broadcast, but they actually stayed together for a while, and of course members came and went. But groups like this are actually working together to solve certain cases, and I think it's amazing and quite interesting. I don't know how you all feel about it. Let's look back and see. Hang on one second. And thanks all for being here tonight. It's nice to be with everybody. I appreciate y'all getting me through a tough week too. So let's see. What are y'all saying? Donnie, what do you got? I see psychic abilities as neither a gift nor a curse. I see it as just another, variable in the equation. Great way of looking at that. Absolutely. And I guess it's really, quite honestly, let me fix this camera. Really up to the individual what you do with it. And I think it's up to the gift too. I mean, how are you getting it? Are you like the little 6-7-year-old in Sixth Sense, and you're seeing dead people and they're just coming at this poor kid? Like, I know people that have that, and it's not too great. Let's see. People in power trip. Yeah, that's true. I've never met psychic with good credit score. Okay, well, I'm gonna I can introduce you to quite a few. I hope that you'll be able to meet some in our future travels, as we all of us keep getting together to do these little things. Like Steve just got off of one, and we've got one planned in April at Hoover House. And the thing is it's up to your journey, your consciousness, what you're willing to accept, where you are on your journey on the road. I mean, I don't think everybody's supposed to agree about this. I don't think everybody is supposed to understand it. I certainly don't. Been in it 50 years. And I don't understand all of it. I have very little ability compared to some of my friends that I know. Like I said, welcome in, Dr. Carrie. Dr. Carrie Satan, PhD. Very nice. You're welcome here. The thing about all of that is, again, I think it's about what you're supposed to understand as an individual and where you are in your journey. Now, you could say psychic abilities and think that that's just wacky, right? But what about police officers? We have retired military in here, retired police officers, first responders, search and rescue, so many guests on the show, like Dan Baldwin, who's done it for so many years, to finding lost children and lost hikers. Many of them found too late, some of them found just right on time. So I think if you asked anybody that was ever found with the aid of a psychic, or ever assisted with the aid of a medium or someone with abilities, I think that their vantage point would be much different, of course, than a skeptic's. And that's the same as someone who has seen ghosts or experienced cryptids or any of the supernatural paranormal experiences. And Edna says, I wrote a journal for years to see if seeing would come true. Oh, okay. Most all did eventually, did nothing for me as far as peace of mind. And there it is too. once you follow through with that, does it give you peace of mind? Do these mediums that have helped, like the one I mentioned, keep the guy in jail, at least get him on another trial and on another murder charge and keep him from doing it again? I would imagine something like that would be very satisfying, but you also had to go through that experience of having, you know, dead people popping up at you while you're doing the dishes, you know. And AJ says it right here. I see dead people and it always startles me. Yeah, it always startles you. You're never ready for it. How many times, you know, have we heard stories of we've sat and we've talked to people, or I know Steve told one a couple weeks ago, turned around and they didn't even know there were ghosts. So it startles you after the fact because you realize, oh man, you know, that person was, that was a ghost, or at least certainly something other than what I thought it was. You know, that's a trip too. Oh, good. Yep, Sean's been working on his NDE, and it gives him a sense of, I'm doing something I should be doing. Okay, so are we supposed to be doing something with these gifts? It seems silly that we would get these gifts and not being able to do something with them, right? So we're going to watch this. I think this first one, get your popcorn, smoke them if you got them, have your adult beverages, or, you know, your apple cider or whatever you got there, and enjoy this. It's like going back in time. But again, I find when I watch these, not only were they extremely informative, but again, I believe this one is, yep, In Search of Psychics. So it's also neat to look at it that, okay, 74, so we're going back decades now. How much has it changed? Are we still looking at things the same? We just did Bigfoot and Sepia, right? And my main point with that was, we've got 3 people sitting at the picnic table. Hi, Laura. How you doing, sweetie? 3 people sitting at the picnic table. Each one with, I think one had 20 years experience, one 25, one was about at 15, right? Oh, okay, good. Donnie, you're welcome to pop in if you want. That's not a problem. I'll send you an invite, sweetie. Hold on. Let me get this rolling and I'll send you an invite. I thought you just, again, I thought you had just had the surgery. I've been like, I've been feeling bad for you for a couple of days. But I'm glad you're not in pain right now, sweetie. So anyway, the way it's changed over the decades, are we any closer now to... you know, a psychic walking in, you know, of course, if you walk in and go, hey, I know where body's buried, you know, you're going to get interrogated and stuff. But are there more police officers and investigators and, like I said, search and rescue and things like Dan Baldwin does? People are more at ease with getting psychic information and helps with mediums. And of course, you're always going to have the skeptics that says these people are cold reading, or it's, you know, it's magic, or it's trickery, or it's this or it's that. You're always going to get that. I mean, look at Houdini and Harry Price and Peter Underwood and everybody we've been looking at. And that's why it's so good to bring this old stuff back up. Because again, I showed 3 guys in a picnic table with 75 years experience roughly between them. They all wanted to prove Bigfoot was real. All wanted to go about it in a different way. But we kept missing the point. It was 1970. And they had already had that many years experience in it. So we're going back to the 40s and the late 30s and the 50s. Where they were getting constant evidence, constant sightings, constant witness statements across the United States over and over and over and over. And these guys would say, "They're scientists, you haven't even come and looked at this." This was in the 70s now. So how can they say it's nothing? You know, so they're arguing back and forth. And what I was saying is, now add 50 years to that. Where are we at? We still have people that say there's no way that they could exist. And then people, again, on the other side going, there's no way they don't. And I'm wondering how much longer we go before we just say, people didn't know what sharks were before they named it. People didn't know what a platypus was before they named it. And science, you know, could study it and tear it apart. Do we have to study something scientifically and tear it apart and label every layer of it to believe something exists? Or can we just at this time in our lives see something, feel something, use our own filters, our own abilities, and believe anyway, even though science cannot prove it and can't reproduce it over and over again? And I think that's what this podcast and many of your podcasts ask all the time. You know, do we have to have it right in front of us? Do we have to put it in a cage and poke and prod it and give it shots and test it to believe it exists? Or can we be very much like native and tribal that just know it exists and wants to coexist? Because I'm really glad that a lot of other entities that are probably a lot stronger and smarter than us aren't taking a lot more of us and doing that. But then again, maybe they are. I don't, again, another question. So let's watch this one. Let me put this one up. Did anybody have a question before we start? I think this one is going to be Leonard Nimoy, and we all love Leonard, so there you go. The need for evidence can oftentimes be nothing more than a spiritual roadblock. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. And yep, I just know. And again, I know that I don't know everything. I'm right there with you with Linda. I know that I can't possibly know everything. And I certainly don't. So who am I to say something doesn't exist? Because again, I can go back 10 years ago and I think differently now. Do you not think differently now than you did 10 years ago? Because of gathered information that you've collected along the way, lessons you've learned, things you tried that didn't work, or things you did one way and went, whoop, won't do that again. That's learned, 10 years of that. So all these decades back, to 70. And I also felt a little nostalgic because, like I said, there's many in my family right now that are extremely sick. And many that would, well, you'd be surprised if you knew this week. So, again, what have we learned in our lifetime? What are we leaving those that are coming up after us that are interested in paranormal investigation, that are interested in communication with spirit, that are interested in their abilities and what to do with them? What are we leaving them? So if we don't reach back and see what we knew then and try to see what we learn now and use that evidence and that information to our benefit, I think we're kind of missing out some too. So that's why we reach back to some of these early things. Let me see here, Blue. Here's somebody that would know. The bad thing is science is getting more questionable because it is being corrupted by politics and a culture that can't decide what restroom to use. Spot on, Blue. Absolutely. And Donnie's agreeing with you too, and so do I. Yeah, that's it. It's like when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're it's like trying to explain, right, Blue? It's trying to explain to somebody how to play the guitar. They don't have a guitar. But you're explaining how the chords move and how they flow in between and how the notes ride on, on that whole rhythm and how it comes from you and spills out into the instrument and then out into the audience and it bounces off of them. And that magic moment when everything just clicks and the band is together and the music is riding together and you find that sweet spot and the audience is responding too. How do you explain that? Is that mass hypnosis? Is it energy? Is it a click? A synchronicity of everybody's energy is just linked up, especially if it's a nice ride. I mean, it can work either way. It could be as beautiful as a symphony in an orchestra, or it can be as hard rocking as, in the middle of a mosh pit with Marshall stacks all around. It could be, it's certainly a different energy. Either way and everything in between, from an opera to a musical. Right? Music is its own magic. I totally agree with that, Linda. Absolutely. So there you go. I want to think about all those things, but I also wanted to touch the gatekeepers in, on your journey. You're going to have other people in your journey coming along now, because I think people are getting more attracted to the light. Okay, so I don't mean more so than before. I just mean I think that there's a gathering of light. We're finding it in pockets all over the place, and I think it's amazing. So again, I wanted to reach out and say, look, if you took a certain path to get to where your understanding is, I think you're going to have a lot of other people, not so much younger in age, but younger in their journey on the spiritual part. So a lot of people come into it later in life. Some are, and it both has its its rough spots. Early, nobody believes you, and later everybody just thinks you're losing your mind. So there's really no good part there. But I thought the way looking into this one here showed a little difference of all the different ways people are doing, how they use their gifts. And if you do have people coming up wanting that kind of guidance, one of the things I've always said is like, if you don't have a psychic fair in your town, maybe everybody with gifts just get together and start by reading cards at different tables in a small part of a local diner now. I'm sure, everything is, to the point where everybody's glad to be gathering again. And we have people in our local diner right here in New Jersey, and on a Tuesday night they sit. It's like psychic night. You can go in and get a tarot card reading, or you can get, one of them uses a pendulum and other different ways, and it's a own little mini, psychic fair thing. So that's kind of cool, and it would also boost business in small towns that have diners, and you can have pie and coffee and cake and just have a real nice little social. It's a great way for elder people who are understanding their gifts a little bit better to help the younger ones as well, and invite them in and let them learn what path. It's a great way to do that. I also tell people community theater and stuff like that, but base it as, if you don't have one, start one. Absolutely, it's not that hard to do. I mean, one person and a microphone and a garage, standing outside of a garage door in their driveway could be community theater. Do a one-man act, and before you know it, you got sound guys and people coming up wanting parts, and I'm just saying, if you build it, they will come. Find a way to express yourself. Some do it through many different arts, but in this case, trying to find your abilities and helping other people with theirs. I'll tell you what, I've learned more in groups than I've learned sitting by myself staring at a candle and reading a book. I've learned that way too. But sometimes you got to get out there and work it, and other people you learn so much from. You know what I mean? I'm sorry you just got over the flu, AJ. Hang on, let me see. Let me see what's up here. Are you guys having, I think you guys are having a conversation, which is cool. I just don't want to bring it. Yeah. Just be nice to each other. All opinions and vantage points are cool as long as they are kind to each other. Okay? All right, so let's watch this. Let's see what Leonard's got to say. Beam me up, Scotty, right?
Chief Detective Robert Lowry has been with the Florissant Police Department in St. Louis for 23 years. For Lowry and detectives like him, the routine of casework follows the long-established techniques of following leads, gathering evidence, and questioning witnesses.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. I was just going to say, can y'all hear okay out there? Give me a 5-5 if it's all good, or a thumbs up. And I know there's a delay, so I'll just go ahead and play it. I love Leonard Nimoy's voice. I know, right? Right away, you're just interested. You just sit a little closer. But, okay, here we go. Sorry about that, guys.
2 years ago, Bob Lowry broke with tradition in his effort to solve a kidnap case. The manager of a local store was reported missing, and after 3 weeks of investigation, Lowry could find no reason for his disappearance and no clues to his whereabouts. He was persuaded to try a new and strikingly unconventional investigative tool.
We conducted a very extensive investigation. We exhausted all leads, and it was brought to my attention by a member of the television news media that we could possibly call in a psychic. My reaction to it at first, of course, is that I'm a police officer, and police officers deal with fact, and I wasn't too receptive to this idea. But I agreed to it after the family members indicated their desire.
The results were remarkable. The psychic accurately pinpointed the location of the victim and led the police to the site. This information, relayed by psychic means, enabled the police to solve the case. Extrasensory perception is the power of the mind to reach across time and space in a way that seems impossible. To know a thought when it has not been spoken. To see an event that has happened in a distant place. Scientists acknowledge that it exists, but don't understand how it works. Some believe it can be harnessed for practical use, and one way may be in the fight against crime. There are psychic detectives all over the country. The most well-known is Peter Krause, based in Los Angeles. Krause first visits the scene of a crime to get what he calls psychic impressions. He handles personal possessions in an attempt to identify with the victim. Pictures of the crime take shape in his mind. To date, he has worked on over 800 criminal cases. In Chicago, psychic Irene Hughes has received commendations from police for her efforts in helping them solve no less than 15 murder cases. In St. Louis, Bevy Yeagers is earning a reputation as a psychic detective.
Okay, we're going to be working on the Franzak case again tonight, and there are a couple of you here who haven't really done too much on this. I'm going to try to fill you in just a little bit. We have gotten into this case May the 25th, I think, is the day that we were called in on it, and we were working on it.
Bevy is a housewife and mother of 6. Her attitude about ESP is unique in that she believes everybody has the potential for it.
The astrology department seems to feel that there was a plot involving...
6 years ago, she founded a psychic rescue squad for the purpose of locating missing persons. Members of the squad hold down normal 9-to-5 jobs and meet in the evenings for casework. They have proved themselves so effective that they have qualified as licensed private detectives.
Gotten a chance to work on it yet.
A private detective agency is in itself kind of mysterious to the public, I suppose, and a private detective agency composed of psychics would be doubly so or more. We've had quite a job to do, as a matter of fact, in getting people to understand that we're not a bunch of mysterious kooks running around in robes, calling down forces from the planet Mars to solve cases. At this particular time, there are about 18 of us in the metropolitan St. Louis area, and there are approximately 25 more around the country who have been trained by me.
Because I have a picture of a...
Each member of the squad brings his own specialty to the art of solving crime. People like Phyllis Degendorf, a graduate student of nearby George Washington University. She claims that by meditating, she can relive the moment of the crime.
I tune in very quickly to pain. I start getting feelings whenever I'm holding an object. Then it will develop into mental pictures.
I still don't pick up death. Lillian, does the chart say death to you? Yeah. It says death. I just don't.
Bevy, did they ever find out what cult or what semi-religious Indian group was associated with this case?
Judith Krause uses a technique called psychometry.
Okay, I started it, son. It's your turn.
A housewife and mother, she claims that by holding an object belonging to the victim, she can identify with his experience.
I learned to note down all my feelings that I get when I am holding something that belonged to a victim, because a lot of times those will be a clue.
They feel it may be even...
Judith and her husband Bob have been members of the squad for 2 years.
this kind of thing. The National Star is looking into that, and they're going to let us know, yes.
Bob Krause feels his unique skill is the ability to pinpoint the location of a crime. Bob is a music teacher at a local high school. He says that he has learned how to overcome the barriers of time and space and actually project himself to the scene of a crime.
I feel, if any, that my forte would be in visualizing an area where something might have taken place.
Who'd like to start with the map? Jim Miller, how about you? Okay, that's the Acapulco area.
Jim Mueller was the first to join Bevy Yeager. His special aptitude is locating kidnap victims. During the day, Jim is a social worker for the city of St. Louis.
A psychic will sometimes, in addition to having mental impressions, may have body feelings of pain or distress that could reflect symptoms of the injured person.
Is anyone aware yet of any particular wounds or abrasions or anything on the body or where they're located?
Almost any police force will tell you when they can't come up with the answer, they don't mind where the answer comes from. And if it comes from us, fine. We are at least a licensed, reputable group of people. We're not just, you know, some odd kook out on the street.
Trying to pick up purely from the picture of the woman herself. Okay.
18 specialists.
I got to pull over the podcast because I absolutely love that line. We're not just some kook on the street. Love you, Bri. Love all you guys. Welcome in everybody that's just coming in. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't stop it no more, but that's funny.
Each uses a unique psychic skill to unravel a crime.
What I'd like to do also would be to give back the impressions to those who
At present, the squad is concentrating on the case of a travel agent who disappeared while vacationing in Mexico.
And then they told us that they thought they had...
Bevy envisions that in the near future, psychics will work with law enforcement on a broad and practical scale. Her dream may not be so far-fetched. In only a few short years, Bevy herself has emerged from obscurity to become a detective with a solid reputation. It all began in 1971. Bevy's work in crime detection was triggered by the baffling case of a missing housewife.
I think we ought to get down there if we can.
Well, that's good. Fine.
Let's go.
Bevy would take up her. In 1971, the St. Louis police were baffled by the case of a missing woman named Sally Lucas. Known by her friends as a loving wife and devoted mother, she vanished from her comfortable suburban home without a trace. Every year, close to 80,000 people disappear, seemingly without motive. Sally Lucas was a classic example. Mrs. Lucas had last been seen leaving the town and country shopping center with an armful of packages. Detectives spent frustrating hours piecing together her last day. They suspected foul play. Police had scoured St. Louis but could find no clues to her whereabouts. 3 weeks from the day that Sally Lucas disappeared, Bevy Yeagers contacted the St. Louis Globe-Democrat, one of the city's leading newspapers. She had a hunch. Bill Fustel, the city editor, remembers her call well.
So, police were at a dead end. There have been no evidence turned up. I'm not sure psychics are always accurate, but I do think that there is something to this. She touched some garments and a powder puff of the missing woman. And she said at that time that she described the woman whom she did not previously know. She described her fairly accurately: short hair, short of stature, didn't smoke much. And she said she got a picture of some policemen bending over the car near a large body of water. The next day, Mrs. Lucas' car was found on the Gulf of Mexico I called Lieutenant Kiriakis, and I said, I want to do something unusual, if we can do it. And he said, what? And I said, I want to bring the psychic out and let her sit in this car and see what kind of impressions she obtains.
Lieutenant Kiriakis has been with the St. Louis Police for 18 years. The veteran detective was taken aback that Fustel wanted to bring a psychic into the case.
Well, my real feeling was that he's got to be kidding or he's putting me on just a little bit. I really didn't think he was honestly serious at the time, but he was.
But Mrs. Yeager asked if she could sit in the car. I kind of sat back and I thought, boy, this is really going to be something. I'll be surprised if anything comes out of this.
Psychics claim to be able to receive vivid impressions through the sense of touch. Sitting behind the wheel of the Lucas car, as Bevy demonstrated for us, a whole series of visual images flooded through her mind. She appeared to be lost in a deep trance.
She sat in the car with a pad and a pen for about 10 minutes, and she wrote down many things on that paper. And at one point, about 6 minutes into the time she was in the car, she got a terrible look of agony on her face, of pain. She began to sweat very heavily.
The car gave off strong psychic vibrations. At first, the disconnected pictures that Bevy said flashed through her mind made no sense at all.
My notes were full of letter C's and things like that. Horses' heads. There was also a small bridge, not a large bridge. And there were some pillar-type mailboxes, the kind you find out in the country. I was leaning forward to either put the key in the lock or pull it out of, and as I did that, I was struck a very, very severe blow on the right side of the head. When I was out of the car, they handed me her car keys, and at that time, it broke me up completely. I couldn't go on with it at all, because I then realized from holding her keys that she had not been dead when she was taken out of the car and flung into the ditch. She was still alive.
I think one of her first comments was that she felt an intense pain to the right side of her head. And then the other impression was water and a bridge and an airport. And then one of the last impressions was that of a horse, or something to do with a horse.
The clarity of Bevy's vision compelled her to personally take up the search. She reasoned that the best place to begin was the locale that most closely matched her psychic impressions. Bevy began to search the 10-square-mile area of Babbler State Park, just northwest of St. Louis. She was accompanied by her husband, Ray, and psychic student Jim Mueller. At first, the idea of penetrating such a vast and wild tract of land seemed hopeless.
Hey, Ray. Hey, Jim, come here a minute. I feel some kind of pull out in that direction. Not right here, but like way over, down there. Can we get there from here?
Yes, roundabout, but we can get there.
Well, okay. Well, I think that's right. Let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
An inexplicable force inside Bevy's body seemed to pull her in a definite direction. She had no idea what she would discover in the thick underbrush of Babbler State Park. As Bevy, Ray, and Jim followed the psychic trail, they began to notice significant clues that corroborated the mental images Bevy had received in Sally Lucas' car. A small airport called the Spirit of St. Louis was less than 2 miles away. The Babbler riding stables, then the road sign, Wild Horse Creek, intersecting Highway C. Could this have been the C that kept appearing in Bevy's notes? row of pillar mailboxes confirmed that she was heading in the right direction. And then, the final clue, one that came chillingly close to her psychic vision.
Now there's a bridge up ahead. Maybe that's the place we ought to stop. Look, the creek looks like it's crossing the road. Just pull on past the bridge. Maybe we ought to look this place over here. My notes were full of letter C's and things like that. Horses' heads. There was also a small bridge. And there were some pillar-type mailboxes, the kind you find out in the country. So finally we stopped the car and we got out and we decided that this area looked so right we might as well just look a little closer. The terrain just looked right, it felt right. We started to tramp around a little bit. I can't explain that exactly, but there was a feeling in the body somewhere that there was something, and it was not far. It was almost as if my body was a magnetic needle, and it was seeking, it was honing in on a certain direction.
The date was September 4th, 1971. They searched until the light became too dim to see any longer. Bevy was sure she was within a hair's breadth of finding the body and planned to return to the site the next morning. But the following day, a torrential rainstorm hit St. Louis and prevented Bevy from continuing her search. 2 days later, Mrs. Lucas' body was washed out of a gully in Wild Horse Creek. The body was less than 150 feet from where Bevy Yeagers had been searching.
Well, it was all about a day or two after we had found the body and had processed the scene and everything like that.
And it came to me right then. I said, my God, everything she told us on that day in the car before we found Mrs. Lucas came true. The horse, which was Wild Horse Creek Road, the airport, which is close by, the water, and the bridge. And also, on the right side of her head, the skull was crushed. And these were not things she could have known anyway.
I have no way of accounting for it in any way. It was just the total mystery to me how she could be that accurate.
What inexplicable force was it that compelled Bevy to search the ravines of Wild Horse Creek?
There we go. Bring in Donnie. Hey, Donnie, what's up, baby?
Hey, Cisco. Hi.
Can you hear me? How do you feel? Oh, my goodness.
Oh, I feel fine. When I asked you for the advice, it was preemptive.
Okay.
I'm not saying I was in pain at the time, but I knew it was coming. So.
Okay, so we've got the.
Yeah, I like to prepare.
I have to
like
pull
that.
over the podcast because I cannot give him. I am not a doctor. I don't even play one on TV, but I've been an herbalist all my life. So, and teeth is something I know about. So, pardon me 1 minute. So, clove oil. You understand that it's like crazy hot and tastes like total shit. You know this, right? But I had anybody here, if I say dry socket, if you've ever had one, everybody that had one just went like this, because it's the most horrible thing ever, is when you have a tooth pulled and the whole hits a nerve, and it just you lose it either through smoking or drinking through a straw or just moving your jaw wrong or eating or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's horrid. But you go in there, and the dentist, any dentist I've ever been to or ever heard of anybody having this, they take a tiny piece of rice paper and they dip it in what? Clove oil, and put it in there, and it's like thump, thump, gone.
Well, I already got clove oil on the way, thanks to your advice.
Yes.
I ordered it.
Yes, it's the right weapon for the right thing, and definitely the sovereign silver, because that's like cotton balls soaked in sovereign silver put on that, and it's, the infection, the swelling, all of it's, so much quicker. I mean,
Oh, do you know what's another bit of advice you gave me, Cisco, that you probably didn't even realize you gave me?
What was it?
Whiskey helps.
There you go. Age old.
Whiskey helps.
I gotta say, age old. Now I've missed a lot of the chat going by, and I'm so sorry.
This conversation in the chat is compelling.
It's lit, man.
Compelling.
But see, it's a healthy conversation. So this is the deal. I have to put my input in as what I saw, because I didn't see everything. I have to admit, because I'm watching a video. I'm trying to fix things I got going on, and I'm trying to watch a chat, but I have great mods for that, and wonderful, talented thinkers, analytical thinkers, from so many different pathways. You know what I mean? So everybody's got an opinion on this, but I can tell you from my point of view, I know multiple people that have done this. I know multiple psychics that have been involved in little pockets of, like these guys here. Again, production and everything else, I'm not saying it's 100%. Who knows? It's 1974. This is the way they did it. But there are multiple psychics that have helped, and mediums that have helped in cases. I personally know of them. And we've had guests on this show that have told you they have. And Dan Baldwin is one of them. He is search and rescue. He has been for multiple decades. He is a psychic that uses a pendulum. And he has found many people, both living and dead, in the Superstition Mountains. And he probably did it today, even on Easter. I mean, this is how dedicated he is. Right out there by the Lost Dutchman mine, which he has searched for and said he thinks that's played out. If it was ever true, he doesn't know of anybody that's found it. And then Dan, being the old dusty cowboy that he is, the old bastard, looks in and leans in and winks at me, making me think, well, maybe he does know something, but, he's doing it on purpose just to bug me too. So we've got your teeth all sorted. You've got that, and you've got the claw coming as well?
Yep.
Okay. We can get you through this, virtually get you through this with healing
waves.
waves.
That was me preparing. If I was calling you, if I was asking for this advice when I was already in pain, it would have been a lack of wisdom on my part.
Staying ahead of the bad train, man. So now back to the chat, if you don't mind. I know we're zigzagging.
Please, I'm ready to go.
Because I think it's wonderful. This is exactly what I wanted. I want stimulating conversation. I want you guys thinking about that. Like I said, I can only give you my vantage point, which is, my vantage point. What does that mean?
I always say respectfully disagreeing is a very good exercise for the soul.
Yes, absolutely. And you have to add in the aspect of what Steve and Bill and that wonderful channel, Missing Persons and Mysteries, they deal with all day long. Now, is there any psychics that they're not talking about on these search and rescue teams that maybe did help find? We don't know. Personally, I don't know, other than Dan. That's one. I figure if there's one, there's got to be more. Then I've talked to many of my friends who are either remote viewers or, so many different pathways, like this people in the group we just saw on In Search Of, and how fabulous is that? They just don't make them like that anymore. And they are finding people, but you don't hear it. Even in the beginning of this episode, I was stating the ones that wound up in court, and the evidence, whether they knew it or not, and in 2 cases I know of they did, came psychically or via supernatural involvement. actual ghost that pestered a woman and was channeling through her. Her husband wrote down the information. Do you remember this case? And that actually wound up in court. Now, what Bowden is saying, he doesn't realize in the beginning of the episode too, because I think you came in late. And hello, darling, how you doing? And happy Passover and happy Easter to everybody. If I haven't said that, I'll tell you by the end of this, you're gonna feel happy Easter. I've got a little something for you. So, that being said, we all know somebody. If you're in this, we know somebody that's been in cases. Personally, I was one on a remote viewing, and I just reached out to a bunch of them. We found, well, they latitude and longitude found the car in the lake, right where they said. It was 3 of them out of the 5 saw that it was a car submerged by a group of trees in a lake, had to go over the path she was supposed to be on, but multiple people involved in this, probably I think between 7 and 8 before we were done, and actually helped them find this girl's car. Unfortunately, it was too late. So there's a couple off the top of my head, but that doesn't mean that if you don't have that experience, if you don't have the stories and, multiple upon multiple upon multiple, of course you would be skeptical of it, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
it's great to talk about it.
One of the problems is, though, is that people have stories of when relying on psychics go wrong. And there are
that
those stories out
too.
there. And then when they're inaccurate.
Just as true.
I think I might have figured out how to circumvent that, though.
Blue, if you want to jump in, I will absolutely send you the thing. You can absolutely jump in if you want. I would love to have your input on this from, both sides, as, some healthy skeptics. Absolutely. If you want to come on, you're more than welcome. I'm sorry, Donnie, go ahead. I just saw in the chat, go by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not a skeptic. I'm just wondering if people are going about it the right way.
I don't know, Donnie. I mean, I think everybody's got something different being in psychic groups. And somebody else said in the chat, and I didn't want to let this go to without saying, there's so much to catch up on. They said they would love to have been in a group like this, like the people getting together. The woman had 6 kids, and she's there trying to help a stranger and her family or their family.
This was in the 70s, though.
Yes.
Here's the problem, though. They don't have the advantage of what we got today. I'm just saying, like, we should.
Why
don't we do groups now? Like, why are there not groups out there searching for missing people right now? I mean, a team of like psychics, like 10, 20, a network of psychics, each with their own unique abilities.
Right.
Why one remote viewer? Why not have like 10 remote viewers and a couple mediums and empaths?
Dude, it can be done.
All working together as a network.
Start when you're in your town.
They just start finding people left and right.
Right. Like I said, go to your local diner. Everybody loves the business. Get a mom and pop. Support small businesses. They could use the booth. Say, what's your dullest night? How about if we have, it has nothing to do with the dinner or whatever. They can come over here and eat dinner, and nobody has to be involved if they don't want to. We'll have a little thing over here in this corner where we got 4 or 5 psychics. You can go in and get your, cards read or whatever, and send something out and get a couple on a Facebook group or something, and have them get together. But that's how you meet people in your community, Donnie. And then if you want to get together and work on a missing case, take all of those talents like they did and use that to find somebody. Yes, some people don't want to be found. And yes, there's, listen, there's a YouTube channel called Something with a Purpose. Can't remember. It's 2 divers that go in and they spend every day, probably 250 days out of the year. They don't see their families much. And they go out and they dive and find these cars that have gone, usually with missing people in them. And they do it via science and witness, what I'm saying? Witness statements and, where were they last seen? Where were they going? And all this other stuff. They narrow it down, and if there's a body of water, they go in and they're searching. A lot of times they're looking for one, they find another, but it's a very interesting channel. I'll have to look it up and get it to
Cisco,
you.
But if you can, if it's okay, can I just address something that's been said in the chat?
Sure. Did I miss something? Okay. What's going on?
PETA, I think the problem is you assume that every psychic is someone who's out there like on TV or charging money or reading tarot cards.
No,
The
no, 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 they're
majority of
not. They're
psychics are
not. No.
regular people with regular lives and regular jobs who go about not even telling anyone about their abilities. That's like the majority of them.
A venture with
So,
purpose. Thank you, Vixen Doe. Yes. Oh my God. I'm sorry, Donnie. I didn't mean to cut you off. I was so excited to see
yeah,
it
that's
because I
like
couldn't get that.
that's an unfair overgeneralization of psychics and their abilities.
Yeah, I didn't
and
see
people.
I didn't see the thing, but I am too. I wouldn't. I don't really like labels, but I'm definitely a sensitive. I've definitely got messages. One happened just last week. It was unmistakable, unmistakable. It didn't have anything to do with missing persons, but it did have to do with getting a message to somebody and having them act now, with like we just read, with a purpose, like intent. Go now, and that person was smart enough to listen and do it, and it panned out. I had nothing to do with it but a vessel, so I don't know what you want to call that. And I have multiple friends that do this, And Blue, I think from his vantage point, he's saying that it doesn't quite happen like this. And I'm sure you've had multiple experiences with this kind of thing coming up in the work that you've done. But I mean, it's used everywhere. If you want to break it down and into just, let's pull it back from the real woo-woo stuff for a minute and just think about our own abilities. As a mother, can you not tell when your child is lying? How do you do that? That child has tells, they have tics, they have little things that they do, things they do with their eyes or their foot or some other kind of thing. You can tell when your husband's upset because his foot starts shaking. Or, your wife's got that twitch that her lip does. Or that poker player that's sitting across the table from you, he bluffs a certain way. He's got little tells that he doesn't realize he has. Micro expressions in their face, the words they choose, their vocabulary. And anybody who has ever been in the position of hospitality, such as a server, a bartender, a manager of a restaurant, say in a dining room, that has to stand and watch all the tables and feel the energy at each table. Are they happy? Are they complaining? They're enjoying their meal? Do they want to be bothered? Do I need to go over and talk to them? Everybody uses that has to deal with public. If you're smart and you're good at your job, and you know what I mean? Like I said, even a bartender, what uses it more? Other than a police officer, first responders, and people like that, but just hospitality, customer service managers at a store. Reading that customer, where's this going to go? How do I de-escalate the situation? How do I use the right vocabulary? What does this person need from me to get them to shut the fuck up? You know what I'm saying? Everybody uses it. So now, is that an inherent intuition? Is that just something learned over time? Are we working some kind of yeah. Absolutely, Blue. And, is it just something we learn over time? Is it ability and training? Because that training and using it absolutely has something to do with how you understand it and how you use it and how well you use it.
See, I might see psychic abilities a bit differently. Well, first of all, I think I don't think psychics are all that special, because I think everyone's psychic. Everyone has their own different abilities.
That's what I'm saying.
It's just certain people. See, I see psychic abilities as basically being fluent in a language.
Okay.
And that's the language of the universe.
And may I clear something up from last week? Because I didn't want anybody to think that I was doing something other than these days. I swear to God, people are so sensitive, right? I was giving Donnie a compliment when I said, "Hey, Donnie, can you translate this for me?" Because the man speaks multiple languages. You know what I mean? People are saying, "Well, I just assumed you could speak." That's stupid. So, don't bring that shit up in here, man. Just, the man is smart. We know a lot. We have a lot of very smart people in here. And yes, and a lot of people have gut feeling, and a lot of people have, we've talked about it multiple times, Donnie, the birds. Are you telling me that, people haven't learned, anything from nature over time, where the rabbit ducks down when it hears a certain call from a total other species, a chickadee or a blue jay? that's warning them that there's you're going to be prey, man. Something you got a predator around. We've all heard the woods go quiet. So I think people have learned over time. I do believe that there are more cases and more criminal cases because, like I said, I'm nobody and I know about multiple of them. I mean, that's just me. That's my vantage point. That's where my opinion is sitting, and everybody else's opinion's different from their experience and what your consciousness will allow you to understand, what your experience is, what you need to understand at this time in your life. It's cool, and nobody has to be bothered by where anybody else is. We're just trying to figure stuff out and see where we are after all this time. I mean, this was the 70s. They were definitely doing it way before that. This is nothing new, and it's nothing new to be persecuted for it either. Like I said in the beginning of this show, and Brian brought up too, and I think Blue did as well, that a lot of people don't turn in this information because you're going to be accused of it. Of course you would,
No, I can definitely see that being the case.
I've had it happen to friends. I've told different stories multiple times on this.
And Brian's known a bunch of people who's probably had it happen to them too, because he's connected in that community and that network.
We've been involved in this. It's like, what do you do with this? How are you going to get this information out without having it be, crazy? I've all told you that Steve calls me up and says, "Hey, Cisco, I think I know where her body's buried," and I didn't even, jump or think that was strange. I'm just like, okay, man, well, tell me more. It's like, what do you want from me? It's 3 o'clock.
Sorry, I don't mean to pick on you,
No, go
Peter,
ahead.
but the problem with that
leave Peter alone.
rationale is you're arguing against the most extreme example of psychic abilities.
Well, again,
That's called a straw man fallacy, by the way.
Again, you can't really say it. Like I said, it's everybody's vantage point. Everybody's got a different one on this. It's like, okay, again, we're in a restaurant and it's a busy restaurant. All the things are happening at the same time. Everybody's experiencing that moment at the same time. Okay? But everybody's got a different vantage point, what's important to them, and how they're dealing with the situation. Are they happy? What's going on? And there's more variables involved with each individual, right? And their vantage point is going to be different, yet the shit's still going on in the restaurant. People are still eating. Food's still getting wasted. Some people don't want to be there. Some people, everything is different. And life is just like that. And if you lived this for 50 years and experienced it for that long, that amount of time, which is not that long at all, really, you're going to see it different because you've experienced these things with other people over and over and over and over again, and you've seen and been on the outside of this and seen it happen. And how careful you have to be. And people that are hesitant but want the information but have to do it their way or present the evidence in a different way, such as the cigarettes in the evidence I told you about. That gentleman that took that case on had to basically blow it off and say, hey, I was doing a cold case, thought I'd relook at the evidence, we got DNA now, and didn't say, hey, a psychic told me to check the cigarettes.
Sorry, I have to address one more thing. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Peter, dude, keep going, man. I like being disagreed with. I like being challenged. No one's telling you to
healthy
speak
conversation.
Less.
Healthy
going,
conversation.
Man. Feel free.
Everything's cool.
Yeah, no hard feelings. I like what you're doing. I like that you disagree because you make me have to think
about
harder,
different stuff.
Absolutely. So it's good, man. That's appreciated. I want you to disagree.
There was a time when you went to school, one of the things you had to do other than literature that was presented to you that you had to read, and we were all bitching because we didn't want to read Tale of Two Cities, and by the end of it was one of the best experiences that your mind remembers because it was a deep story. It changed you a little bit, and we were forced to, all the Shakespeare and Jim and just everything you were forced in school when I went to school. I don't know what the hell is going on now, and I don't even want to talk about it. But when I went to school, you got something from it, right? So one of the things that you had to learn was called debate. And you picked your debate teams, you picked a subject, and
Oh, by the
everybody
way,
went
sister, I
up.
don't mean to interrupt, but I used to teach debate workshops
There
when
you
I
go.
was working in
So
Korea.
there you go. But see, it was a thing. It was such a thing, especially if you go back in the earlier days in the 30s, 40s, 50s. It was huge to be on the debate team. And the thing is you take all the emotion out of it. That's number one, and you just present the facts as you see them, and you bounce off of each other. That's what this chat is. So don't feel sorry for having an opinion. Be glad you have an opinion.
You make this chat more fun. If
Yeah,
anything,
and you
speak
put
more.
it out there, and nobody should be offended because this stuff is going to be here whether people believe in it or not. You know, whatever's going on the other side, or in parallel universes, or other planets, or in the moon, or where everything is going to happen whether we believe it or not. I think we can affect some things with our energy, and some energy can affect us, but other than that,
Plus, I'm used to getting into like heated.
Happen.
I'm used to getting into like heated, really loud shouting matches over like pro wrestling and video games.
Yeah,
so
but
this is like nothing to me,
video
you know?
games.
Yeah.
But in a debate, that's what you do. You just state your facts and you present your point, and it's basically taking the emotion out of it. Now, granted, some of the things that we talk about, like this is no non-emotional thing. This is missing people, missing children, people that are hurt, people that have been abducted and murdered.
So do you know what I think
So
the problem
huge in
is with
emotion.
a lot of psychics and just this overall field in general, is that no one fully understands psychic abilities. Not even psychics fully understand psychic abilities. Like no one really fully understands.
We don't even understand it, Donnie.
We don't have a grasp of it.
Again, this is the closest one. I mean, this was just days ago. Do you think I can understand and explain to other people who've never experienced this? Now, other people have had much more experience, and this is no big thing, but it is a big thing. I get a voice outside of my head, and usually the right side of my head is where I get higher vibrational information. Just is. And I got a voice. Usually it's one of two voices. I'm very familiar with them, heard them all my life. Don't ask me why. I got a different one, and it was a message for someone else, and I was like, that's odd, because it was so clear, and it was just so different, but it was profound. And I kind of kept doing what I was doing. I was obviously doing an arrangement, a very busy little shop. And nobody was around right behind me. Don't even ask me that. So I hear it, and then it repeats and adds on, and now. And I'm like, okay. I literally went like that, okay. And out the back door I went, and I picked up my phone and did what it was telling me to do. And sure enough, the person on the other side understood what I was saying, was just involved in what this person was saying.
I love that ringtone, by the way.
Right. Yeah. It's like Patton. What?
Yeah. It goes with Patton saying hello.
Yeah, it is. It usually comes at good times. But anyway, and the person, actually I was getting the thing, it's like, I don't know, are you sending something or hitting a button? And the person did and got exactly what they were looking for. So was that person's spirit guide giving me a message that knew what that person was going through, that knew what the person they were connecting to was going to do, and the timing was just right now, and they acted on it, and it was the time, it was the thing, it was amazing. So what do you call that? Mass hysteria? Do you call it being open and having a line of communication somehow that's a little bit more traveled, that's a little bit more noticed, that's picked up? Because if the guy's sitting across from you playing poker and they've got that tell, and you're going to make a move based on that tell that you've seen over and over and over and over and lost money to, and you're invested, your emotion is invested, you're going to go with your gut instinct by looking at that micro expression and know that son of a gun is bluffing or they're lying. You don't think lawyers use that, judges use that, criminals use that?
You don't think very powerful, successful people are perhaps
Yeah.
psychic and use their psychic abilities for wrong?
It's all part of it. Well, I'm just saying that's
You
just
know,
you know
I
that's
think
just
that exists too. Like people who use their
yeah.
psychic abilities for nefarious reasons and they get ahead in life,
And
and
there's
that's
so
why.
many cases, they all can't be lies that people have been found and have been, things like this have gone. You're not probably going to see all of them on paper in official documents coming out of the sheriff's office. They might have had to color it a different way, but I guarantee there are people, even military even squads and special ops and things like that actually use a little bit of that, and
I firmly believe
men who
that
stare at goats come, that's real.
I
All of
firmly
that stuff.
believe that every president we've ever had, every
Yes,
single
it's
one
had
was in
psychics in
some
the White
way
House.
extremely psychic.
Gene
They
Dixon
wouldn't
comes
have
to
been
mind
able
when
to climb that ladder if they weren't.
absolutely. And Gene Dixon was in the White House. Reagan had one in the White House. Gene Dixon was, I think, in several presidents' Oval Office, if I'm not mistaken. I could be. It might have been the other lady because it's 70s and it's coming back, but it's blurry. But I'm pretty sure she was one of them. But yeah, all of that. So. What do you say? I mean, something's going on, just as in every other aspect to this subject. Something's going on. Something's going on with UFOs. Something's going on with aliens and alien abductions, and something's going on with cryptids and ghosts and haunted houses and maybe even vampires. And I'm pretty sure dogmen at this point. I mean, I'm like, what do I know? There's too many people seeing stuff. Something's up, or something has the ability to make us think we're seeing these things, because there's too many witnesses across the decades, across 2 different continents. I mean, come on, man. It all can't be fake. The astronomical numbers of how that couldn't be all fake, or all
Can I
mass
tell you an
hysteria.
interesting story experience that I had?
And then I
Cisco?
got another video. You shoot, and then I got another video.
It's a quick one. It's not that
Go
long.
ahead.
But
Go ahead.
a couple years back, I actually briefly dated this girl who was a medium.
Okay.
And she was a very, very sensitive.
I know exactly what you mean. I've dated a few mediums, actually a couple of extra larges and an extra large and a. Never mind. Go ahead. I was making a joke. I'll shut up.
Low-hanging fruit, Cisco. Low-hanging fruit.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll take
Everyone
it all.
makes that joke. The medium. I'm not a medium. I'm extra
too,
large. I've heard that so many times.
That doesn't matter. I'm just up.
That's
I don't
like
care.
the oldest psychic joke
Good night,
in the
Gracie.
book, Cisco.
Good night. Good night,
Anyway,
Gracie.
okay.
Go ahead.
So the interesting thing was she had a sister who was like institutionalized as a paranoid schizophrenic. And I was like, how interesting that is. Because it's like, because we had got into this discussion is that it was like, did she have like psychic abilities, but she didn't know how to handle it? And she didn't know how to harness it, and it just ran amok?
If you
And
want my honest opinion,
that's why she became that way?
I have known I hate to say it's one of the saddest parts of this, multiple people that were medicated with pharmaceuticals, misdiagnosed, that had abilities. Some were self-diagnosed and tried to quiet with drugs or, Valium or Quaaludes or whatever, depending on your decade, your drug of choice, and alcohol to quiet the stuff down. So also, misdiagnosed, and some out of fear just to get sleep or pass out. I mean, across the board, so many different things, and so many things of this nature are connected, I believe. This is my belief. This is what I believe, I'm not here to tell anybody what to think or what you have to look at or have to research. It might not be your time in your journey to understand it. It might be your time in your journey to question these things. So other people see them different and relook at them. Everybody has every opinion. All this has a purpose, and I think it's all connected. And when you can do that debate and when you can present things, I think that's important, But forgive me if I forget myself, and I put a little emotion in it too, because again, 50 years, and I'm telling you, I am no expert, and I've had experiences, and I want to be able to tell those experiences and have you guys look at them and go, you know what, a portion of that happened to me too. You know, that sound happened to me too. If we're busy arguing, we're missing facts. We're missing the meat. We're missing the fact that those three men sat at the picnic table in 1974, and it each had 25 years in. This goes back. You know, on somebody is seeing something in the woods, something's leaving footprints, somebody is flipping camp tents, and some is chasing old men out of the woods, and whatever. Kidnapping an old dude, held him hostage in a cage. He had to use his snuff to trick him and get out of the cave. Now, you may not believe the old man, but I'm telling you what, everybody on that mountain can't be lying about it, you know. And half of them don't know each other, saw the same thing. I saw stuff. You can't tell me I didn't see what I saw. I know what I saw. I know what happened, you know. I might be mistaking it. I'm hesitant to label it because I might be wrong. You know, I don't use the right label and I give you the wrong visual or the wrong information. But how many people do we know that say, I know what I saw? And even taking away the natural witness being wrong, or witness getting the color of the shirt wrong, or the height wrong, or embellishing for attention or whatever, there's something going on. And I think
what it is?
I think it deserves a look.
I think a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about psychics, first of all, that need to be dispelled right away. First thing, people who are psychic are not these divine beings, right? Don't think of them as like they have to be infallible or it's all horseshit. No. These people are not like perfect angelic things. Like, at the end of the day, they are also human and they're also fuck ups. All right. That doesn't mean that the whole thing, like, everything must be perfect.
And like Edna says, is not everything is demonic either. Absolutely. And you know, everything. It's like, look, it's almost like everybody is right. And if we looked at how the things we know right now are connected, I think we'll see more, you know. And again, I'm presenting this at going 70 years back. Have we learned anything since then? Do you think that since that, if they were working together in the 70s, what does your logical thinking mind tell you would be the answer to, do you think they're still doing it? Do you think they're doing it more? Do you think they're finding different ways to go about doing it? You know, what did we learn from the 70s? If they were doing it in the 70s, they were doing it in the 50s. They were doing it in the 40s. Even if it was the old goat woman in the town, predicted things, whatever you want to call it. Oracles in Rome. How many different religions go back and, you know, have the advisors and the, you know, the oracles and all of it. So it can't all be wrong. It can't.
That's actually a logical fallacy to assume that it's all wrong. It's actually a logical fallacy.
But if your mind at that time is making you believe it's all, you know, or is it something blocking so you don't see the magic? Is it because, and again, I'm not talking to anybody specific, I'm just talking about people who would say all of it's just bullshit. Is it because your mind can't handle it right now and you're blocking that because you can only deal with what's in front of you? Absolutely legit. Is it your pineal gland is calcified and you just don't have any kind of connection with that? Are you somebody that's walking on a vibration where it's almost like a magnet where it just pushes it all away just to push through? Because
can I give you my Asian perspective
the last couple
here
of
on
you
this,
certainly
actually?
can. Yep, right after
my
wait
opinion?
a sec. Wait.
Okay.
Just 10, you look back 10 decades of how you've been conditioned to put your head down, go to work, pay your bills, don't look at this. The box tells you and programs you what it wants you to know and gives you a narrative. And if you don't believe that's true, you tell me how the hell we went from going somewhere or going to grandma when you've got a urinary tract infection and they give you cranberry juice and it heals, to going to buy cranberry juice that's powdered in capsules at the grocery store, to going to your doctor and after you see a 30-second commercial that says Do you go to sleep at night, wake up tired in the morning? Do your feet get tired from standing up for 12 hours a day and working your ass off? I got that shit. Wait a second. I got that shit.
Oh.
So you go into the doctor and you say, I saw this commercial for Fuck It All on TV last night when I was watching, What's Up with the Kardashians, and now I want that pill. Now that doctor signs that prescription, gives you that pill, you've diagnosed yourself, probably wrong. How did we get from that? We lost our logical thinking and we started to just take in everything. Everything's programmed for us to believe, and making you believe that no magic exists, energy doesn't exist, you have no power, you can't manifest any kind of your destiny, you're not in charge of you, you're not in charge of your chi, your center, your mind, your thoughts, and what you can and cannot do with your personal space. That's what they've done you. They've made you believe there is no magic. There is nothing else. It's only what they tell you exists, and none of this exists. And it just doesn't fit to the astronomical amount of witnesses and evidence and experience that's out there. And that's what I'm saying. Don't let them say to keep your mind closed. Donnie, go ahead.
Actually, I wanted to ask you a question. When you were talking, so with regards to like medical knowledge that's been lost, because I've been thinking about this a lot lately because of my situation and what you've been telling me. If someone like me who has no knowledge of that wants to know or have a good resource to find out, where would you direct people? Like, what are some good books or resources or
to learn about this? What I said is a good resource. What I said is a good resource, because if you reach out to your community, and what I mean your community is different to everybody. It could be the group apps that you can get together to put in what you're interested in. I'm interested in movies, or rock and roll, or people go meet down at the Cool Bean, or whatever, or the diner, like I said, or the Dunkin' Donuts, where all the cool kids hang out. I don't know anymore. The boardwalk we used to go, but and you get together with like-minded people and said, "Is there psychics? You've got psychics in your county, in your state, I guarantee it. You usually find it by going to psychic fairs, and if you do not have a psychic fair that's going on, I've gone around, I've started them. Go down to a place where, like I said, where you can get." The stores I'm talking about, and ask them, who comes here to shop? I want to leave my card. I want to get a little psychic fair going. If you can't do it at the diner, and you certainly don't want to do it at your house, do it in the park.
Couldn't you just do all that online though?
Yes, that's
like
what I
with
said.
your
You can do that.
online community, not like physically like in your town. I'm talking about like just people that we know.
You can do that as well. Yeah,
like me asking you, or just in our online community, people in the chat. I'm sure there are a lot of people in the chat who know stuff.
But Donnie, you asked me what do I suggest for young people to do? Young people are only going to do it one of two ways. They're either going to do it online and only online, and then they're going to go online and they're going to learn from courses and other things and YouTube videos and books.
Brian, are you talking about this book right here that I got? He's telling me to read this book, and I'm like, this is the book that I use to keep my microphone on to make sure it's like high enough. I'm like lying my microphone on it. Are you talking about this book? The Secret Teaching of All Ages by Manly P. Hall. It's crazy because the book he recommended was like my freaking microphone rest. That's awesome.
See,
that's
what
like
are the odds?
synchronicity.
This is what I'm saying. What are the fucking odds that all this would be bullshit? And if it is, but if you're open-minded, you could say, we could all be in a video game. We could all be avatars. And if that's true, I think I would have picked a better avatar. That's what I'm saying. It just doesn't make sense to me. My logical mind tells me a total tonnage of evidence in paranormal and supernatural. We could just go there. Everything that's involved in it, whether it's UFOs, Atlantis, I don't know. I can't prove every single thing.
There are levels of woo.
Levels of woo. And your own personal strength, your own personal ability. I mean, the powers of your body and your mind are absolutely unbelievable, and they're 100 times more than this bureaucracy has kept you down and made you forget you had. And we use a very small percentage of our brain. We use a very small percentage of our ability to self-heal, to heal our minds, to handle things. This is what I was trying to explain with how the hell did we go from, herbal cures and, things that our grandparents did to, after a 30-second commercial, trusting the commercial so much that we would go to our own doctor and tell them what we have and tell them what we want. And that's what those commercials are for. And if you look in the UK and you look in other countries, they're not even allowed to have those commercials. But that program, that's perfect right there. That programming can program you to go from, well, this shit worked when I was a kid, but it must not work anymore. So now I got to take this, and that's going to cause a symptom. And then I'm going to go back to the doctor, and they're going to give me a medicine to cover up the symptom that first medicine did, and nobody's talking about what the issue is and what's the cure for it. And that's the difference between herbs.
Something. Okay, I'm going to crank up the woo a bit here.
It's similar to paranormal and supernatural, though. If you think about it, your logical mind, let go all of the veneer of it all and the woo, and just say, wow, it's energy, and it's more possible that something is going on with these wonderful beings and wonderful souls that we have in this wonderful universe than what they're telling us, because they don't want you to believe in the magic. I really have to play this video after you're done there, Donnie, or we're going to run real late. Go ahead.
Well, something that I thought was real interesting that Edgar Casey said about Atlantis. I'll just leave it. I'll just leave this thought because it's like I want to crank up the woo a bit.
Okay.
So people would ask, like, what was Atlantis like? Like, why were they so advanced? Why did they have their shit together? How did they know all this stuff? And he said, oh, it was simple. They were a society that understood psychic abilities and used it in a way that kind of benefited society.
So true.
And I'm like, if we only understood how psychic abilities actually work, like everyone, because we still don't understand them. And if we actually like incorporated it into our society, how great would that society be?
Absolutely true. That's why I'm trying to say that one of my major things that I worry about is young people with abilities that are trying to, and I know many, and I've helped several. I hope I've helped more that I won't ever hear about. You just got to trust that. Because people help me. And that's what works. That's why I'm telling people to get in their community. Chat rooms are great, but it's nothing like being one-on-one with somebody and feeling that energy and being in a room that has that energy. So that's what I'm saying. You can help small business. Go to your community that's got the dream catchers and the incense. Go to that store, and you know what I'm talking about, where you buy your sage and where you get your, whatever you're buying, and go there and talk to them and say, look, I'd like to leave, a card. I'd like to know, do you have any mediums? Do you, whatever. See if there's any in your community. Get a couple. It'll take a little time. But the best psychic fairs I've ever been to started with 2 or 3 tables, and you sit down and then everybody can go in. And the cool part about the young people that come in and know that they have abilities, that's the first step. I've got something's going on. No matter what it is, I read people's minds, or I do whatever it may be. So many different levels.
Oh boy, but Aunt Edna, I know what you're talking about.
They can see somebody and they're in that energy, and the energy kind of pulls you to that person, and then you start talking to them, and you'll know, just like meeting anybody within a subject.
Oh, that's how we met each other.
And then they can help each other, and they help you go through. Alternative bookstores are great too. But it's putting it out there in the universe that you want to get a group together to do something like that. And then it can go any which way you nurture it to go. If you want to find missing people, I'll tell you right now, I'd contact Dan Baldwin. There's people in here I would contact, but I wouldn't give their name without their permission.
You know what's a beautiful thing, Cisco, is that everything you were saying that we should be doing, we're actually doing right now.
Take a sip of whiskey and hold it in your mouth, because it's good for your teeth. And I'm gonna while I do that,
I gotta resist the urge to swallow. Hold
it in your mouth. It's good for your teeth. And for I think 7 minutes, we're gonna play this video.
I need to smoke. I'll be back. I need to smoke so bad.
Do that too. That's good for you. Oh. I wanted to tell you this one is about, this is really going to set you the hell off. It's going to light the chat up. This is one. Now, I'm going to reserve my opinion on the person because I kind of know him a little, and he's a dear soul. And but anyhow, I want to tell you this. This is about the important thing I want you to get from this. Now, you'll probably find other stuff. Is if you get messages from people, or you see people get messages, with a medium or whatever on TV, and they get a reading, and sometimes they'll get a reading. And they'll say, well, he says the blue car. Pay attention to the blue car. I don't know, I'm making it up. Bear with me. And you're at that time, you're going, oh, God, the blue car. I don't know what they're talking about, the blue car. He doesn't have a blue car. Did his girlfriend have? And you start doing that, and you start throwing all that out there, negative-wise. And then sometimes it'll make you disbelieve the 4 things they got right. I can't explain how this happens. Are you picking up what I'm putting down? They get one thing wrong, or you think it's wrong. And the last 4 things where you were crying and going, oh my God, I'm talking to my grandmother, and she, yes, I kept her recipes, and they're in my drawer by my, where I keep my whatever. And they get it that good. And then the next one they get good, spot on, not digging, not just, throwing wildly information out there and looking for, ticks. Some of them do. But just information. They're giving you connecting, hitting information. And then they'll throw in this blue car thing, and the whole way home I go, but that blue car. Yeah, he got that. Yeah, it was a white and red polka dot. Oh my God. That's right. It was. But the blue car. So this is a message, and just to give you a visual of what happens if you just hold on to the information and give spirit time to work. Just a suggestion that if you give spirit time to work, you then go, oh my God, a blue car, and this is the person and then bam, 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 bam. If you open yourself up to that, that's how it works. If you slam the door and say, it can't happen, it's not gonna. If you open your mind and go, what if? And I'll just put that information in my back pocket and see what happens. Things start happening on a more easy flow. Some words of advice. There you go. Well, there you go, guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right.
I was so distracted. I
love
was
this
so distracted by that psychic dude.
You could swallow. I love this ghost. Wait a minute. One more time. Isn't he cute? I had to do it one more time. It's just adorbs. Okay.
Damn, that psychic
Did you
was
swallow
ridiculous.
the whiskey? You can swallow the whiskey now. Yeah, which one? Yeah, well,
the purple shirt and the mustache, and then
that's
like,
the whole thing.
Come on, man, that was
Luigi. Don't focus on that. What I wanted to say, the whole reason for that whole tape was just because how sometimes readings are done. You could look at that and go, okay, it's cold, they're cold shooting and watching and trying to manipulate and stuff like that. I mean, honest to God, you're absolutely willing to that opinion. If you're thinking that, that's fine. But I've been involved deeply in these where one-on-one, I mean, it's just so unbelievable. It's just nothing could explain that away other than when you're involved with something that the person who is dead, deceased, tells you something you had forgotten from your childhood, and then you remember it when they're telling you, and they don't tell you the whole thing, so they're not implanting the thought in your head. They're not telling you the whole story so you can figure it out. It's an amazing thing, and so spot on and so profound and specific that you really can't deny it anyway. It's not even the medium is reading your memories because you didn't remember it, unless they're reading your subconscious, which I guess could be true. But man, that's just something, from, something if a medium can read my subconscious and I'm in here with it and I'm not hearing it and they can, well, then that's an ability as well. As far as I'm concerned, it might not be the ability I think they have, but it's an ability for sure. And so many things like this happen. And again, I'm just presenting these as this was in the 70s. This was going on when I was a kid. This is what I was watching. And this is the way that these shows helped me understand what to look for, how to be logical thinker, how to discern, how to research for myself. And again, that's not a bad thing. I didn't believe everybody that came along. I've had people stand in front of me and said, your dad left a secret will and left you a bunch of money. And I was just like, lady, you obviously haven't met my father, dead or alive. You know what I'm saying?
So
yeah, they're out there.
I'm a child of the 80s and 90s, right? So you and I are of different generations.
Not by
Can
much.
I tell you the the story or the parable that pretty much made me understand psychics and psychic abilities?
Sure, go ahead. I'm all for it.
Was from my favorite movie of all time, and that was Pulp Fiction. You've seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Yep.
I imagine. I'm hoping everyone here has seen Pulp Fiction, right?
Yep,
we were all on the same page here.
Yep, I'm a long way from being okay. You want to do quotes?
Let me tell you the exact scene, okay? And this is what made me understand.
All right,
psychics.
I'm all ears, man.
It was when so John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, right? They go to retrieve the suitcase, and the guy comes out of the bathroom and unloads the gun, and he misses, right? And they kill him, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then the car ride back, they're mulling over the events of that incident, and they both had very different attitudes. So, from Samuel L. Jackson's perspective, his idea was that was an act of God. That was fate. That was God. That was like the universe communicating to him that he's not supposed to be doing this. And that's why he decided to give up that life and walk a different path, because that was like, he interpreted that event as a universe telling him, you're not supposed to be doing this, right?
So cool.
John Travolta, on the other hand, he had Samuel L. Jackson saw the universe as a subjective thing. Okay. John Travolta saw the universe as an objective thing. He only saw things in terms of like what he perceived as logic, a coincidence. Like he saw the whole thing as coincidence, right? So he's like, what are you doing? You're throwing away your life. John Travolta stays on that path. What happens to John Travolta at the end? He gets killed.
Well, I don't know what to tell you about that, Donnie. I mean, I think
that's what.
Yeah, but see that there's a lot of logic in that. There's a lot of logic as far as the way to think about intuition. I think everybody does it a different way. I think a lot of people do that. I mean, from the greasy football guy sitting on the couch, in the lucky shirt that he's worn every time the team won and doesn't want to take it off because it's a superstition, to an intuition that a mother has to run outside and see that her 3-year-old is toddled out the front door and is about to run into traffic, or any of those things, or a twin will feel a pain from another twin in another state somewhere miles away. I mean, all of these things touch on the beauty that is us. And all I'm saying is, if we knew this in the 70s, if we were doing these things in the 70s, if we had the Bigfoot evidence, if we saw the UFOs, if we talked about the ghost, if we had Hans Holzer and Ethel Myers crossing over spirit, how in the living hell are we 50 years away from it and we're still questioning that something is happening? Can we please get past something is happening and move into, okay, something is going on. Is it all connected? Is energy, other times and parallel universes and Mandela effects and CERN and all of these things, from the Philadelphia experiment to Glimmer Man, for Christ's sake, to Chameleon. All right? If we could just get past it's all a lie and say something is happening, I think we can connect more with who we really are and remember the power of the very soul and the energy that we have going through us and our ability to manifest at least some of our reality, even if it's looking at the glasses half full instead of half empty. That is a manifestation of how we visualize things. And you cannot tell me that people sitting at a picnic table, these poor guys at the picnic table, they're never leaving it, that each had 20, 25 years experience and had their own evidence enough that if they went to court with it, could at least get the jury to go, something happened 50 years ago. So that's 50s, 75 years. You know, I just don't understand how a 30-second commercial could make us forget everything our grandparents taught us if we listened, our parents did to heal a headache or something else, and make us forget all those things and not look at those things and trust a 30-second commercial enough to diagnose ourselves. And how did the doctors get to the point where they would listen to our fool selves, you know, and write that prescription? What's going on there? That's a whole lot to unpack, but it's connected. We started thinking a certain way, and we've been programmed a certain way to think, or we've been told it doesn't matter and it doesn't exist, so we don't believe in the magic and don't believe in the power of self and our intent and how important that is. And everything that you think is important within you, it's fucking important. And they're telling you it doesn't exist. And I'm here to tell you 100%, I think something's going on. And I think it's connected.
Something's definitely going on.
And I think it's
undeniable.
Beautiful. I think it can be extremely scary. But if you understand how beautiful the other side is, the scary part is nothing. Because it's all here. It's your chi. You can't tell me every martial arts, you know, all of that is wrong. That people can't will themselves to get through situations, empower themselves, and reach down inside and find that extra bit to live through. You can't tell me that because I've lived my whole life that way. Every soldier I've marched next to, you know, that said one more step. You know, all of it's connected. Your inner power.
There are a lot of people over in Asia that get chi wrong as well. Like, they don't fully understand chi. The same way Western people don't understand psychics.
Right. I think it's global, man. You know, it's absolutely global.
It's just an opposite side of a coin. There's a lot of bullshit in the chi world, trust me.
To think that all we have to do is get up in the morning, go to work, and pay the bills that keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and more and more and more, instead of trying to keep up with that train. I think the pendulum is starting to swing where we're going to go back to the old ways and back to families helping families and community helping families. And I don't think it's a bad thing, but I feel it. I feel something, and I feel like the light is really getting, I know it doesn't seem like it, but my intuition is telling me that the light is gathering, and when light gathers, it magnifies. And that's all the hope I need, because to me that makes sense. And magic does exist, and sometimes magic is found in just looking back in memory. So I've got one more quick video, guys. You know, this has been amazing tonight, just bringing this up.
Can I give one final thought before I sign out? One final thought.
Yep, go ahead.
Earlier before I signed on, you were talking about, like, I guess the point of psychic abilities, or like the purpose or the grand interpretation of it. And I'm starting to realize that I think the way psychic abilities are meant to work is that they're meant to work in tandem with other psychic abilities, with other people, like as a community and as a group. They cannot be done by themselves.
Right,
like people who are like very solitary and psychic.
Psychic
abilities are way more powerful when you like team up like Voltron, like different types and different abilities all come together into this one beacon of awesomeness, you know.
Why do you think there's covens? Why do you think there's groups of people that get together and pray? And it's all the same. Drum circles, from drum circles to gatherings. Some people do it at the dinner table. Some people, funerals, weddings, whatever, gather at prayer circles, prayer chains, all of those things in all those cultures. Anytime you gather that energy and you focus in on one thing, people have gotten their minds together in consciousness and stopped storms, caused the rain, gathered the rain. My people, what's the biggest joke about Native Americans? You're going to do a rain dance? Not for you, you son of a bitch. Hope your crops dry up.
You know what the problem is, Cisco?
But it can be manipulated. Energy can be manipulated, and those things can happen. And if they didn't, there wouldn't be a thing called HARP. And again, Native Americans did it better. What's the problem?
There's one major problem, and the problem is you got to wade through a lot of bullshit.
Well,
there's a lot of malarkey out there.
You power through it, and when you have the light,
you got to have discernment. You got to see through the bullshit, because you will be led astray very easily.
Absolutely. That's why I said community, and where you live. If you're meeting with people, it doesn't take many times to meet with a group before you realize who you want to hang with, who you don't want to be a part of, and you find the like-mindeds, in a safe environment. I'm not telling anybody to do weird. Don't meet people in a dark parking lot somewhere unless you're meeting vampire kids. And who am I to tell you?
It's a little common sense, folks.
It's
fine. That's all we're
asking.
Just a little common
sense. I'm not telling you meeting vampire kids in a dark parking lot's a bad thing, but again, use discernment. And here's mine. Now, since it's Easter, I have to end it this way. I have a little thing for you guys, and I was talking about nostalgia and looking back to the 70s, and I thought, okay, when I was in the 70s, where we hung out, our big Easter thing was Asbury Park, New Jersey. Now, I've talked a little bit about that, and of course it's famous for a lot of different things, but I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Asbury, because my dad met my mom in Asbury Park. She was a floral designer, window dresser for Steinbach's and Newberry's, and the whole downtown was real big. And this was again the time when women wore hats and men wore suits and hats and gloves and all that kind of stuff. So anyhow, the big thing down there that a lot of people don't realize, it's famous for many a haunting and many a ghostly thing and lots of different cool stories. And I will tell you that I'm going to do a big episode on Asbury and the haunting of Asbury and around it and all the cool stuff. But tonight I want to kind of look back at Easter and what I remember about it. And it all started back in the 1890s, and if you haven't watched that new Gilded Age and you like historical series, it's like about 8 episodes. They did a great job on the Gilded Age, and you can kind of see how New York was at the time. And I highly recommend, when you're done with that, look at 1883, because Gilded Age was 1882, the series, and 1883, a year later, is Oklahoma Trail and what it was like in Texas, and the two parallel universes that existed at that same time with the Gilded Age and all its opulence. And I mean, it literally was gilded. These people had real gold painted around the wallpaper, and it was all about where the wallpaper came from, or the rugs out of, Lord somebody Huff and Puff's, castle, or it came, it's the wallpaper that Marie Antoinette had, or some crap like that. It was all about money, and they were rolling in it in New York, and it was old money and new money. Very interesting. And then you go to the stock market and how they used to screw each other. It's amazing. It was all about what you had. And then at the same time, going on in Oklahoma and Texas and headed toward California, and all the immigrants coming through and going through, oh my God, the hell they go through on the trails. If you don't know anything about the Oklahoma Trail, I highly recommend 1883. And Sam Elliott's in it. You'll love it. So anyway, they're on that and just living in the dirt and have nothing and just want to hack it out of the wilderness and build their home. It's absolutely amazing. But going back to Asbury Park, the big thing was what is that? The thing with the women go in. Miss America pageant started there. They had beautiful theaters, wonderful architecture. All of the artisans and tradesmen came in and put everything they had into these buildings in New York. And of course, it went into New Jersey and on the boardwalk. So many stories came out of there. The shark attack that inspired Jaws actually happened there in 1912. Right out of the Essex and Sussex, a young boy, they used to call him umbrella boys, because when it was raining, they would walk these, ladies in these big hats with all the feathers and stuff, with the umbrellas from the cars to inside of the lobby in this beautiful ballroom dance floor with hotel and everything. It was just amazing. So anyway, I put together this little thing to show you a little bit about what Asbury Park was like in early days, and they had something called the Baby Parade, which I think it stopped for a little while, and they tried to do it, again over this last decade, but it's nothing like it used to be. But when I was a kid in 75, it was still going on pretty strong, and you would dress up, and some families would all dress alike, and you'd promenade very much like you'd think they did on the Titanic down the boardwalk, and everybody, judges would be in the crowd along the way, and you would go through the Paramount Theater where the Morro Castle was wrecked against. Remember I told you about the Morro Castle and it burning and all the people dying, and they had to lay out the bodies in the Paramount? Well, this is the Paramount Theater. Same Paramount Theater I saw ZZ Top and AC/DC in. It was wonderful. And Judas Priest 6 times in the same summer with Iron Maiden. Anyway, it was wonderful to be a teenager at this time. They had a wonderful carousel where they used to have the penny candy claw machines, and you'd actually put a penny in it and actually get stuff. It was amazing. I can remember all of this, and you would get all dressed up in your frilly stuff with all the crinoline and the white gloves, the little white purse and the hat, and you'd be marched down this, boardwalk, and it was an amazing thing. And saltwater taffy and cotton candy and caramel apples and salt air, and everybody dressed in their best, and it was just a really nice time. And here's a little
can
video
I ask
about
a quick question?
Sure,
Quick?
go ahead.
What exactly is saltwater taffy?
Well, you're going to see. It's basically, the story goes, it's a taffy, basically a taffy. And back in the day, we used to make taffy in the kitchen, and pulling taffy was really fun to do with your sisters. I don't know if anybody here has ever done it, but it's fun. It's very simple to make. And it's just simple taffy. And a young a cart man who was selling his candy along the boardwalk, because now all the tourists are starting to come in. There's spas there, and the salt water pools that are supposed to be good for your arthritis. God knows what they were saying back in the day. It is good for stuff, but people that had money were starting to come down in 1890s, 1888, and around there. So he's selling this. Well, he's on the boardwalk, and it's getting really, really windy, and the wind carries the salt water, and got a little too much salt in the taffy, and he didn't want to throw it all away. So he sold it, and people liked it because it had a salty taste to it, and that's when salt taffy was born.
So there is salt in there.
I'm playing the video. Yep, here we go. Watch the video. Here we go.
Why don't we add more salt to more candies and see how they taste then?
I don't know.
Let's try that as an experiment.
Okay, now this is...
Happy Easter, Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Me, oh my, there's a lot to buy. There is shopping I must do.
Man, this reminds me of
Happy
Fallout.
Easter.
This is where I grew up. And when I was a teenager, this is the boardwalk I would walk down. It looked much different, but not much. I mean, it's funny how the people have changed. These are the beautiful hotels that are still here today. And they were very sparse then, but there are many now. And of course, you've got all the new stuff thrown in there that just ruins it. But look at that. This is Easter in Asbury Park, right before the big baby parade. Everybody dressed in their best. Pretty cool, huh? And there is the pier. The Morro Castle was right up against that pier. You could they had to take a rope and go back and forth, but it was so close.
I've been there.
Yeah, have you?
Yeah. I've been there.
I've been there many a time. I have many a story.
I grew up around you. I've been there. Holy crap! Yeah. I remember this place. Jeez.
Yep.
It's all coming back to me now.
1904, I believe. Look at the lifeguards. Everybody hanging onto the rope.
Holy crap! I remember this place.
Fun. Look at the bathing suits. Look at this.
The bathing suits I saw from my childhood at that time were very different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very different from what I remember, too. You're going to see
very different from these
song,
pictures.
I have to tell you, the song is Darktown Strugglers Ball by E. Jammy Jams. It's pretty cool.
Oh, hell yeah.
But that's where that Morro Castle was, and, you know, all of that. And that's where the concerts are. Now, if you walk down the boardwalk and go in there, that's where all the concerts are. Boy, memories. And here's the baby parade, some pictures of that. But yeah, it's many.
Do you have any pictures of the boardwalk from when you were like walking around like in the 70s, 80s, or
not of myself, but I got some in here. Now this is
I want to see what people looked like back then, like what kind of people were. How did society evolve since?
Yep. I'm not gonna. It's not really a big timeline thing, but there's a little bit. Here's the baby parade. See everybody dressed up. It was an amazing time. Cotton candy. So now this is the carousel. I actually rode on this. It's no longer there. They sold off the horses and they just kept the building. It's so sad. I can't imagine. But it would actually be where you'd reach out and grab the brass ring. And I caught it once. So that was 1904 at Easter. And that's 1975. And this is what we looked like then. This is what it looked like when I was in high school. Yep. And there's the fun house and all the rides. It was an amazing
I remember that place. Holy crap.
Yep.
I was there as a kid too.
Yep. That's what it looked like when I came back. There it is from an aerial view.
I played in
now
the
the
video
best
arcade
part
there,
was these swans here. At the end of Easter, you would get into Paddle Swan and go down the lake, and there's saltwater taffy. It's just a little special because you got it on the boardwalk, you know. So happy Easter to everybody out there. That's a little bit of my hometown at Easter in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
Do you know what my memory of Asbury Park, New Jersey is, Cisco, personally for me, in terms of my experience? That was the land of really fun video games. Like I would go there as a kid and just like walk the boardwalk and just sit there in the arcades and just
we had
play to my heart's delight. Oh God!
Honey, I got stories from Belmar Playland and Miss Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Space Invaders.
So good.
Space Invaders, Pinball Wizard was out.
Oh, I played a lot of pinball there. I played a lot of pinball. And I would just have like this big thing of cotton candy and munch on cotton candy and just play like.
Oh my God. The fries and ketchup, the pizza with the grease running down your arm, man, and you know, eating the fries. You could eat all day, you know, $2, man, a Coke, French fries, and you know, because all your money went to the machines. Or to me, I was always getting quarters because I had the hugest crush on the change guy. Oh my God, the stories. Belmar Playland, all the way down. It's Belmar, Bradley Beach, and Avon and Asbury Park, and we just walked that whole boardwalk town to town, and you knew everybody. It was fun. It got ruined, and now it's back up again.
Anyone who's never been to Jersey, also the beauty of the beach itself is actually quite underrated in my opinion. I actually think the beach is quite beautiful. Especially at night, it's like haunting.
It's beautiful. It is,
and the waves get real big and it's real haunting.
I've got some haunting stories. I'm going to tell you about it because I'm going to get together and do a whole thing on Asbury and the ghost there, and we got a little Houdini in there and a little bit of other stuff. But this is the last one, Donnie. It's been great having you on. This has been a great chat. I'm sorry if I missed. I've never had haunted saltwater taffy, Glenn, but I've had a piece like almost pull out my tooth, which is kind of
Well,
haunting.
I do not foresee
Now we're back
any
to
saltwater
teeth again.
taffies in my immediate future, so it's just a foregone kind of fantasy at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Jose, they were really pretty. I really, it took me a little while to put that together, but again, that doesn't capture the whole thing. It's like how it started, how grandiose it was,
Chris
and
Jarvis,
now it's just gone.
Actually, the murder capital is Camden, New Jersey, not Trenton, New Jersey. I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, and people in Trenton were like afraid to go to Camden.
They're actually both pretty bad. They're actually both pretty bad. All right, I'm going to take us out of here. Happy Easter, everybody. It's just been really great talking about everything and getting ideas out there.
This was a whole lot of fun.
Like
Thank you
I
very
said,
much.
just for you're welcome. Thanks for being here. Just for my medium and psychic friends that I have seen spend hours and hours and hours on these cases and actually do some good with no recognition or very, very little, and the time that they give and the toll it takes on them physically and mentally, having to go through this and see these things and try to decipher why they're getting the message and stuff like that. They really deserve a little respect for, even if you don't believe what they're doing, just the fact that they're willing to put so much of their self into it. It's just like anybody with a trade. Their work should be respected. You don't have to believe it. You know what I mean? And maybe in time you'll see something that changes your mind. I've had my mind changed, So thank you, everybody. It's been a great show because of you guys. My PayPal is in there. I stuck it. The TeePublic is in there if you want to get a t-shirt. If you have ideas for t-shirts, you want to buy one, I'll design it. Tell me what you want on there. We'll stick it on there. If there's something that you want on here, you want shut the fuck up cakes, I got it. You want something else, anything you want, we'll put it on. Oh yeah, it's so easy to do it. Yeah, just use the picture. If it's not copyrighted, if it's copyrighted, I have to make it.
I kind of would like a Crispy t-shirt actually. We're gonna have to talk about that later.
Oh, there's at least 20 designs of Crispy on.
Yeah, actually, Cisco, I've actually been thinking of a backstory for Crispy.
He's got a backstory. He doesn't know he's dead, so shh. He thinks we're the ghosts. That's his backstory.
I've got an idea. How about different people in the chat? We all submit our own little backstories for Crispy, and we just read them out.
Oh, I'm fine with that.
That'll be a fun activity.
We'll do.
Everyone just email Cisco like their own version of Crispy's backstory.
I don't care what you think about him as long as you believe in him.
I got my own personal.
Just let him. Just accept that he exists. That's all I ask.
I got a doozy of a backstory that I've been formulating.
Take another shot
brain.
of whiskey, Donnie. Yeah. We're headed home, baby. Here we go. Happy Easter, everybody. Share the damn chocolate.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Be kind to each other.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
And share the tuna.
There's a lot to buy.
So
there
cute.
is shopping I must
that's
do.
the cutest thing in the world.
Ain't that precious?
Happy Easter.
Be kind, everybody. Share the tuna. Happy Easter, babies. Happy Easter, gatekeepers. We're out of here.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Happy Easter. Happy Easter. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Me, oh my, there's a lot to buy. There is shopping I must do. Happy Easter to you.